Good morning. My name is Jeremy Ron, and I am the Public Information Officer for Incident Management Team 2 that is assigned to the LNU Lightning Complex. We are here today to give you a situational update on the LNU Lightning Complex. Just a couple updates. The entire complex is just over 131,000 acres. We do have over 30,000 structures that are threatened. We do have 105 confirmed structures destroyed and 70 confirmed structures that are damaged within the entire complex. We do have 4 civilian injuries, and we have 587 firefighters currently at the incident. As a reminder, anybody that needs information, we have a 24-hour information line at 707-967-4207. Again, we like to ask to please hold any questions until the end, and we'd like to get an operational update from our operations chief, Chief Blankenheim. Chief?
Good afternoon, Charlie Blankenheim, Ops Section Chief. So I'd like to say a quick update on this, but it's not going to be real quick because there's a lot to talk about. So the Myers fire, it's a further west fire. It's back down in the Pacific Ocean. We've held it to Myers grade, and it's still backing down into Fort Ross, but we're making pretty good progress on that one. That one's in pretty decent shape. Our number one priority for the day and our most dynamic fire from yesterday is going to be the Wall Bridge and the Stewart. They actually merged overnight. The Stewart ran down into the Wall Bridge, and so we're now going to treat it as one fire. Across Mill Creek yesterday, made a little push to the east and is continuing to push south towards Guerneville and Rio Nito. We've got plans in place for protection of those communities, but a lot of work needs to be done. And very, very active fire yesterday. Had significant structure damage and significant structure loss yesterday coming off the Stewart. We'll continue with that today. Moving over to the Lake County side. So we'll start up on top. We had the fire in Jericho Valley yesterday that made a significant push, and then the Morgan fire from 2 days ago made a significant push to the south and to the west, or to the east, and they're combining now. So what used to be the Morgan, the Jericho, the Gamble, and the Green, and the Spanish, those fires are all combined now and continuing to push down into Rumsey Canyon, and along Highway 16 they're backing down into Rumsey Canyon. As they come down and hit Highway 16, our plan is to go ahead and hold Highway 16. We're reopening the dozer lines from the Rocky fire and the Jerusalem fire in 2015, I believe. We're reopening those dozer lines to come across the top and to come down towards the county, the Napa and Lake County line. Moving down another very active situation, the Etna fire that took off was one of the last fires to start 2 days ago in the Butts Canyon area. Was very active during the day yesterday. Continued to burn towards Pope Valley, towards Butts Canyon. Significant structure defense going on in there. Lots of structures, lots of infrastructure in this area. This fire will, if it hasn't already, will burn all the way and tie into the backside of the Spanish fire. We're doing structure protection, trying to keep it out of the communities, out of the structures. And then we anticipate it tying into here. So moving down, coming off the peak down here, both directions with dozers. Last night we got the plan in place. We're bringing dozers off the peak here, Atlas Peak, going both directions down towards 128, and then working south. So we have a plan in place to build this western edge. We got some additional resources on it today, and then building this western edge is going to be one of our main priorities today. We come down towards crosses 121 and down into the Vacaville Fairfield area. Fire made another significant run yesterday late in the afternoon. Crossed I-80. I think you probably saw it on the news last night. Lots of excitement. 80 was closed for several hours. Fire was on the other side. We picked up the spot across 80, somewhere in the 500 to 1,000 acre area. It's contained, and now we're building line back up from 80 to work up into Gordon Valley and to hopefully get this bottom piece tied in. Where the fire ran down into Vacaville 2 nights ago, we're doing really good in there. There's still a lot of active little pieces in there, yards on fire kind of thing, trees, fences, stuff that's still burning, still poses a very significant threat to structures. So we're working on getting all that cleaned up. We're fairly confident that we've stopped the spread and that Hopefully there won't be any more push down further into Vacaville. We'll be able to keep it where it is. We're just trying to keep any additional structures from being lost. So with the fire back to 128 on this side now, so we've taken dozer line and crew work and along County Road 87, and we did a firing operation last night. We went about 8 miles, so this map is not completely updated as what's going on. We went about 8 miles, firing 8 miles up. They're going to finish that tonight, and they'll be tied into a Sparto. So then the bottom side of this fire and the top side of this fire are going to combine, and the Blue Ridge will be all interior, and the Blue Ridge is going to go ahead and burn again. And then again, we'll be holding Highway 16 in Rumsey Canyon all the way back up to where we tie in here with the Morgan fire. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Next, we'd like to get our law enforcement speaker and law enforcement partners, Sheriff Mark Essex. If you law enforcement can come up, we have a brief message from law.
Good morning. My name is Mark Essick. I'm the Sheriff of Sonoma County. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of the sheriffs and other law enforcement partners. Got a mic problem? Here to speak to you on behalf of the sheriffs and other law enforcement partners who are supporting this incident. That includes Napa County Sheriff, Solano County Sheriff, Lake County Sheriff, and others, including CHP as our law enforcement partners. Right now, we have mutual aid responses coming in to the area from the Bay Area and outside areas to bolster our police response. Our police response is there to assist with evacuations, to keep evacuation zones clear so that fire apparatus and personnel can fight fires, and to ensure the safety of property once people have evacuated. Peace officers are in the area to assist with evacuations by providing guidance, answer questions, and directing people to safety. We know this is very stressful, so you can count on your law enforcement partners to be there and answer your questions and guide you to safety if you are scared or concerned. We want to remind you that when you're evacuating, we want you to do so calmly yet quickly. We also are concerned that many people are pulling over on the sides of busy highways and roads to take pictures and view the fire. We really urge you to fight that urge and continue to evacuate. When you pull over to take pictures, it creates secondary traffic hazards and problems for evacuations. So please continue to move through the area. Which also brings me to a reminder that evacuation areas are dangerous. Once an area is evacuated, we do not want you to re-enter that area. We have had some minor reports of people re-entering evacuation areas, and they've had to be rescued. When we have to rescue you from an evacuation area, it creates a secondary burden on police and fire services and adds to the problem. So please stay out of those evacuated areas. We want you to stay informed, so continue to follow all of your law enforcement partners on social media, which includes Nixle, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And we encourage you all to continue to take care of each other, check on your neighbors, and help each other. We're going to get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now we'll have our unit chief, Chief Jones, come and give an update from the unit.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Shauna Jones, and I'm the unit chief for the Sonoma Lake Napa unit. I wanted to touch on a few things. Over the last 5 years or more, many of you have been evacuated, and many of you, your families, someone you know, has lost their home. It is a very stressful time. All of us, your first responders, understand that, and we're here for you. I wanted to take a moment and just say and reiterate the message that Sheriff Essex and all of the folks behind me have said to you. Please be prepared. Please, when asked to do so, please evacuate. It's important that you do your part so that we can help you. It's going to take time. This is a very large fire. It's one of many in the state of California. And honestly, our resources are stretched very far. So please be patient. We're working hard to put out the fire, so that we can get you back in your homes. Please be safe, listen to the alerts, pay attention to media, and be aware of your surroundings. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chief. And now our incident commander, Chief Cavanaugh.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. First, I'd like to start off with my condolences to PG&E. Yesterday afternoon, Wednesday, August 19, 2020, a PG&E employee was located in his vehicle in the Gates Canyon area, unresponsive. CPR was performed on the individual. The employee was transported by ambulance and pronounced deceased at a local hospital. The employee was in the Gates Canyon area clearing infrastructure, power poles, and lines to make the area safe for emergency responders. So once again, I'd please keep the family and PG&E in your thoughts, and our condolences to that individual and his family. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to start with talk about a little bit of a fire update. I know the operations given, but I'm going to get a little more detail on some acres and what we have. As Chief Blankenheim talked about in the operations briefing, the Hennessy fire is now the fires of the Gamble, the Green, Markley, Spanish fire, and the Morgan fire that all combined yesterday. Total for that fire right now is sitting about 105,000 acres as of this morning with 0% containment. Moving in, and that's for Napa County. Also with Napa in Lake County is the Etna fire, which is currently 4,500 acres. Moving down into Sonoma County, the Walbridge fire is currently around 14,500 acres this morning and actively burning overnight. And then the Mayor's fire was approximately 3,000 acres. The fire up in Lake County, the Round fire from yesterday, is roughly 4,000 acres as of this morning. As Chief Jones just alluded to, and we talked about yesterday, this is a large geographical area that we have. We're in 5 counties. We have large incidents that are burning. One of these incidents alone is what we call a team. That's what my team that I'm here could be, a team incident alone, especially the stuff that's going over in Sonoma County and what now we have up in Lake County. Resources. We have the resources we have now. Hopefully over the next few days, there's going to be some allocation of more resources with stuff coming from out of state. There are fires that, some smaller fires that in some of the other counties that have containment lines on. Hopefully we'll be getting some of those resources pulled off some of those incidents, even though they may not be comfortable totally leaving those smaller incidents that have containment lines, but we're going to try to get some of those resources to us. Same with the aircraft assets that we have. I just want to make it very clear and make no mistake about it. We have a very large-scale incident here. Normally, even for us and the teams, and I know the communities with over the past years and the incidents they've had here, we're used to lots of resources, and that's not where we're at today. With the amount of fires and large fires that we have throughout the entire Northern California, we're just one small piece of the bigger picture there is in that bigger view. We have to share the resources. We have to make good operational decisions and priorities. With that, though, the communications, with everybody that's standing up here with us today, it is imperative the communications and cooperations from everybody for us to mitigate these and be successful. As we move forward, looking at our plans starting today and forward, we're basically, for us as a team, into this thing just over 50 hours, looking at our organization, how we're doing it, and allocating the best resources we can for everybody in between all the counties we have. Every single county, every single community, every single person is a top priority for us. And we want to make sure that we are trying to meet those needs to mitigate these. We need to get people back in their homes as quick as possible. It's a tough decision we have to make as an IC on evacuations. I talked about it at our cooperators meeting here at 10 o'clock. I am always going to side on the air life safety. That is, I will not sway from that decision. But on the other hand, we'll get people back into their homes as quick as we can. That repopulation, I don't want to see people dispersed out of their homes. I never want to be dispersed out of my home, and I know you don't either. So I ask, be patient. We have to make sure it is safe to get back in your home, not only from the fire side standpoint, but also from the utilities. We got to make sure we're good with utilities. The last thing we're ever going to want to do is do a evacuation, a repopulation, and then another re-evacuation. So with that, I appreciate the cooperation we have. I appreciate the communications we have, and we're going to get through this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. And then we'll have time for just a couple questions if there's any questions. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering specifically about Atlas Peak. I had heard the fire did reach the summit yesterday. Wondering if it had made it into any of the residential areas on Atlas Peak Road.
Yeah, as of yet, no. So we're reopening some of the lines that we opened in 17 for when the fire was going the other direction. So it'll be the line coming from the other way. And as of yet, no. I think it got in maybe close to some backyards, but there's been no damage up there. And any places coming into the community, the fire has been stopped.
Similarly, the town of Angling was evacuated and Deer Park. I know often that's precautionary because there aren't that many ways out. Do you know how close the fire is coming up that point to Angling?
Mileage-wise, I don't have a report. It was purely precautionary, and because of the difficulty in getting folks in and out of there, that's definitely a precautionary. But as Chief Kavanaugh said, our resources are so thin right now. We have plans, but we need to staff those plans, and so it is precautionary at this time, but it's definitely a real threat.
The decision last night, if you don't mind, the decision on that one last night up in that community was when we all looked at that, with the fire behavior that we had overnight from 2 nights ago going into last night, the fire behavior that we were experiencing yesterday afternoon, on the map, roughly, it was like 5 miles. The fire was going out to the east, but looking at that community up there and the one way in and one way out, when that order came down yesterday evening during the daylight, that was a priority to me to try to make that happen then. I know that that's a tough area up there with the hospital and the college and the one way in, one way out. But once again, as I stated here just a little bit ago, those decisions have to be made, and I'm always going to make that decision on the life safety of everybody first.
Thank you, Chief. We have one more question over here.
Just in general, the weather quality today, in terms of temperature, slowing down a few degrees also, what about for aerial support in terms of the quality of the smoke in the sky?
Similar to yesterday, one of the I guess the dilemmas we have is the air clears out, the fires burn faster, but we can use the tankers better. It's a little bit smokier today, a little bit later started on getting it out, but that usually means we're having less air movement and not quite as dry conditions. So the weather over the next couple of days we're hoping is going to come back to more of a normal pattern for this and get back into a coastal influence here, which will help us out quite a bit. It may be an issue for air support as we get, hopefully we get some fog and some clouds coming in over the next couple of days. We're kind of anticipating. That does create some difficulty with the air support, but it gives us a lot more chance for success on the ground.
Thank you, Chief. And then also